Disconnect the Discord!
Last looks, hold up, we're not done. Gotta call police, see what is up. On the Discord, a message board, what we did wrong. What's the movie next week? Maybe chat with Jason. Last looks.
Hello, my freaky darlings. I'm your host, Paul Scheer, and this week we have Jason along with us for the entire episode of How Did This Get Made? Last Looks, where you, the listener, get to voice your issues on The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, a movie that Discord user Johnny Unusual thinks should have had the tagline, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Menace in Venice. Thank you, Johnny Unusual, for that alt tagline. Remember, if you have an alt movie tagline or title, submit it to us on our Discord, and we might just read it on the show. Jason, I needed to bring you in today because, very rarely do you and I talk about the show after the show is over. And we were in Telluride, and we both took a moment to talk about our experiences watching League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It shook us.
Right. Yes. It was such a bad movie. It was so bad. And it left such a bad taste in my mouth that I had to, because we had talked about Alan Quartermain and all of that adventure, kind of serialized adventure storytelling, I had to watch Raiders just to get the taste of that movie out of my mouth. I watched Raiders, and then I will, this is a plug, I will shout out the Blank Check podcast with our friend Brian Michael Bendis, incredible comics writer.
So good.
Is the guest. It's over 3 hours long. It's incredible. It's really a great episode of Blank Check talking about Raiders.
It's really, really good. And I did the opposite, which is I just listened to the episode because I know Raiders so well, but now I want to watch it again. But I did what you did before you recorded the episode, which is I went back to the comic books. And I was like, the comic books are great.
Oh, yeah.
This is, man.
So good.
Well, we're going to get into it because the Discord's very upset that we're upset with them. But I know.
I don't care. I don't even want to hear about the Discord.
You're going to hear about it. But first, a big shout out to Dan from Rochester, who gave us that amazing theme song. We love these songs. Send it to us at howdidthisgetmade@earwolf.com. Keep it short. 15, 20 seconds is best. All right. I mean, let's just talk about this. By the way, big announcement. We are making a little bit of a change on our spring tour. Our spring tour has... Spring tour, what?
Spring tour!
That's right.
We're coming to your town.
Boise, Denver, Portland, Austin,
Seattle, San Francisco.
We are going to be there, and also in LA. Tickets are available at hdtgm.com. Now, here's the thing.
If you're in Texas and you want to come to the show, but you think you or someone in your family might have measles, please don't come.
Don't come.
Because the last time I came to Texas, you motherfuckers gave me COVID. And what I don't want right now is either bird flu or the measles. So Texas, get it together.
And by the way, I want to shout out Idaho. Idaho, figure yourself out. This is the only venue so far that I'm like, wait, this is how many people are coming out? How did this get made? The first time I've ever been shocked, aghast at the audience numbers. So come on out, Boise.
Idaho apparently hates the podcast.
I don't understand
Not interested in the podcast. Prove us wrong, Idahoans.
You tell us. You say, come out. All right, we're coming out. You come out now, too. But now,
oh, how come you never come to Idaho? How come you never come to us? Guess what? We are.
Now, meanwhile,
we're coming to your town.
Denver says, come to our town. The minute we put that on sale, almost sold out immediately.
Fuck yeah. Denver, mile high. Absolutely blazed.
They got it. They understand.
They're ready to rock. Have we announced movies yet?
We have not announced movies, except for the LA shows because they're rescheduled. But I will say we are burying the lead a little bit because June will be with us in Los Angeles, but she will not be with us for the rest of the tour.
Bum, bum,
She got a very, very cool part and something that I can't announce yet, but we will be able to announce it soon. But we have a replacement. We have opened up the safe, the vault.
We broke the glass in case of emergency.
And we got her. We got Jessica St. Clair to join us the entire tour.
The entire tour. And we've managed to talk to every venue, and she will be given a mic that cannot exceed a certain volume.
It's going to be interesting for me because this is the first time will have gone on the road together where I don't have children or my wife with me. Not that that's gonna, I just will allow me to eat later and do stuff like that. But I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic to have Jess with us.
Oh my God. I as part of our agreement with every city and every venue, all the venues will be encircled by trash cans on fire. Both to give everybody a chance to warm up, but also to really make St. Clair feel welcome.
You know what? We got to tell Avril when she picks movies, not the Discord, about how we can kind of cater some movies to Jess.
Yes, absolutely. This without telling St. Clair, the podcast tour should every step of the way increasingly get more and more into dystopian trash can fires. For like, I want Jess feeling like she's lost her mind by the end.
We are going to break her by the end of this tour. By the time she gets to San Fran, she will be a shell.
She's arriving broken.
All right. Let's take a quick break. We're going to jump into corrections and omissions and get ready. People had a lot to say about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I assume all they had to say was, "I'm sorry we voted for this."
I hope they did.
We'll find out in a second.
Okay, last week we talked at length about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We had questions, and we might have even missed a few things. I don't think we missed that much.
I don't think we missed anything. It was a fucking snooze.
A slog. But a lot of you called in and you wrote on the Discord, so let's get into it.
Guys, you know what? Value your time. Value your time more.
We do love the Discord. I don't like
Who
all
does?
this.
Don't include me in that week.
I love the Discord. I don't love the Discord around the Discord being upset that we're upset with their pick. But anyway.
Oh my God, give it a rest. I'm not interested in hearing from anybody.
Young William, take us in with a corrections and omissions theme.
You got corrections, maybe some omissions. We got some problems, and this is where we fix it. We didn't fuck up, maybe you fucked up. Corrections and omissions.
All right, thank you, Young William. All right, this is first up in the Discord from John, not Connor. Now, he writes, I won't vouch for the movie's complete historical accuracy, but I think it is meant to be real turn-of-the-century world that we learned about in history class, melded with many of the books that we were supposed to read in English class. In the late 19th century, technology was advancing much faster than it had been before, making new weapons and modes of transportation possible. Also, the European powers were dividing up the world and forming secret treaties requiring to go to war if any ally was attacked. These were the conditions that led to a worldwide war in 1914, but that would have been 15 years after the time of this movie, so this movie posits that World War I could have happened in 1899 if not for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Well, that's just a factual, I mean, yeah, sure.
Honestly, John, not Connor, who cares? Who cares? And I mean that with all due respect, because yes, anybody here can say there's an interesting confluence of characters and actual history and fantasy characters melding together at a particularly interesting time in history and blah blah blah. You can even say, Jonathan, not Connors, that the books, the Alan Moore comics, are themselves a fascinating dip into this period and these characters and what is itself super interesting. A faithful adaptation of these comics could have been a fascinating movie. What we got, what we covered, was boring, was bland, and I don't value a movie that could have been great. I spent 2 hours watching a movie that was slow, boring, and ineffective.
So the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, they only postponed World War I. That's at the end of the day, it's like, cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess.
What did you do? What did they do? They got us to, like, the war starts in 1914?
Cool.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thanks, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. This movie is a failure, and everybody texting or whatever they're writing to us on should be just saying, you know what, our bad. We liked it because it's bad, or it's and
these aren't even the complaints. These are just people that are giving us some facts to put it in. Like these,
I don't need them.
well, somebody like Rudlin, he goes, I wonder what the sequel would have been. The sequel comic miniseries had the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen dealing with the aliens from H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. And
Listen, we all read Black Dossier. We know the stories. They could be good. That's not what you made us watch,
that's
fuckers.
the issue, right? It could be. Anything could be good. I mean,
Anything could be good. I feel like a lot of the feedback is it could have been good.
And here, yes, we agree with, that's why we are so upset. Now, Ghostbag I like when people go to town on the math and the science of it, because Ghostbag writes, okay, how is the Nautilus, that's the big ship, traversing the narrow 16 feet deep Venice canals, given both its height and length? Looking it up on Google, the Nautilus measures 70 meters. That's 230 feet long and 26 feet wide. The ship in this film seems to be a bit longer than that, so there's no way it's making those narrow turns.
No, it's inside of the Venice canals. What are we talking about? But here's the thing. Even something as stupid as that, if the movie had been successful, I would not care.
Well, that's it. You never question it.
I
if
wouldn't
it works.
give a shit. But the movie is so such an offense to logic and narrative storytelling that all of the little nitpicks, the Nautilus could never fit in the Venice canals, et cetera, are only even more annoying because they can't do anything right in this movie as far as I'm concerned. They have all of the playing pieces for such a fun, adventure-filled story, and all they do is nothing.
It's a slapdash.
It's
It's a slapdash, and this is what goes into what Dove is saying, because Dove is saying, like, look, this movie did not care at all. As a matter of fact, at the end, when they go to Sean Connery's grave, they misspell the name Quatermain, right? It is spelt quarter like the currency, when it's actually spelled Quat. No R. So, I mean, like, how could you misspell the character's name on the pivotal moment?
The movie is lazy. It is boring, and it is a waste of an incredible property, incredible characters, largely fantastic actors.
Yeah.
I don't understand what people are annoyed about. I couldn't find it, but I just want to recommend the Junya Ba graphic novel that's all about Captain Nemo and the Nautilus, and it's a giant book, and it's absolutely gorgeously drawn, and it's a beautiful story about Captain Nemo finding a little girl and raising her on the Nautilus, and it's awesome, and it's a stunning book.
I want you to remember your joy for that, because now we're going to get into some things that are going to make you angry. All right, we're going to go to the phones, and we are going to hear from Jen, who is defending the Discord vote.
Hi, Paul. My name is Jen, and I am calling to defend the Discord vote for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think for a lot of us who are fans of the podcast, who've been watching for a really long time, this might have been the first really bad movie that we saw in theaters. I know I'm a Discord member. I voted for it. And the reason I did is right before I went off to college, I remember seeing this in the theaters with my dad and thinking that this was a truly terrible movie. We laughed the whole time. It was one of the worst things we've ever seen, and I just have that memory. I'll also add that my dad has passed away, but we did go see the live show of you guys in Durham, and he did laugh throughout it. So thanks.
Oh,
that is, I love that.
Oh, Jen. How can I be mad at Jen?
Jen really knew that you might be coming at her, so she had to kind of...
I was ready to be fired up at Jen, and then she comes in with a dead dad? Not only a dead dad, but a dead dad who's a fan of the show?
I mean, this is, wow.
Thank you, Jen.
I'm going to say this, and this is the issue that we always talk about on the show, and it's great that every now and then we prove the point, which is just because it was a bad experience for you and it's a bad movie does not mean it's a bad movie. Like, by the way, I see tweets, people are like, what you should do on How Did This Get Made? The Brutalist. I'm like, first of all, I love The Brutalist.
And what
and it's like, well, just because it wasn't enjoyable to you, like, it is not like a terrible movie. It's like, and this is the issue. It's like, I was bored by it, so you guys, what can you guys do with it?
You know what it is? It's not. I think I said something like this on the episode, but it's not enough that a movie is unsuccessful or bad or boring. Like because a lot of those things are just boring. Like something that like mistakes that we made early on, not mistakes, but movies that we covered early on without having Avril to vet stuff in the beginning meant that we covered movies that, yes, were bad, but we did them because we knew they were bad or unsuccessful or failures. The best example is the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation.
Yes.
Which boy, could that be a similar to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, based on a beloved IP, a live action version of a previously, a graphic novel or an animated type of thing. A big time people adapting it. Oh, boy, isn't this exciting? And then snooze, boring. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie, is boring, and it's not a good for the show because it wasn't exciting or interesting. They weren't making such big swings that they could fail enough, or they weren't finding themselves in situations that were juicy for us to dig in on or have fun with. It felt like it was boring or bored, and I was bored with it.
That's it. Jason, I don't want to burn you out just too early because look, people are still popping in with thoughts about the movie. This is what we do. And Aaron had some more insights about Sean Connery's Lord of the Ring connections. And this is something that I think is going to be slightly interesting, maybe more interesting than the film. We'll see.
Hi, Paul. This is Aaron from Vermont. You mentioned that Sean Connery turned down the role of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. And Stuart Townsend, who played Dorian Gray, was actually cast as Aragorn and fired after production began, with Peter Jackson apparently thinking he lacked the gravitas for the role. It's hard to imagine anyone besides Ian McKellen or Viggo Mortensen in those roles, and I think maybe we all lucked out in that respect. Anyway, I saw League of Extraordinary Gentlemen around when it came out, and that was enough for me. Love the show. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Look, that always bums me out when you hear an actor getting fired. I was fired off of the Eddie Murphy movie, Meet Dave. I've talked about this in the past. And it's always look, there's a lot of reasons. And in my case, it was, I didn't have a good enough butt crack. They wanted somebody to have a bigger butt crack than I did. So, look, there's a lot of reasons. Gravitas, butt crack.
I like Aaron from Vermont, love Vermont, shouts to Middlebury College and all of Vermont. But, I like those stories too, like the actor who shot 2 weeks on There Will Be Blood and was replaced by Paul Dano.
Right.
We all
Eric
love those
Stoltz.
Stories.
Eric Stoltz and Back to the Future. Oh, I would love to see. I would love to actually see, because here's the thing. I think it could be the same for this. I'm fascinated because I know Eric Stoltz is a good actor, right? We've seen a body of work from Eric Stoltz to know he is not a bad actor, but for whatever reason, it didn't work. And
and Zemeckis says, that it was too serious.
Right. And I would love to see it.
There was a darkness to Stoltz's Marty McFly.
Right. And I would have loved to have seen that, just to see the different take. I mean, that's kind of the fun of it.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
They only just play it without the audio track up. It drives me crazy. Come on, at this point.
The thing about this, and to Aaron's point, I love stories like this. It's great to hear about what Sean Connery didn't do, or to imagine a Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. Does any of that make it worth it for us to sit through League of Extraordinary Gentlemen for 2 hours?
No.
Absolutely not. It's not worthwhile enough. The special interest tidbits are not value added enough for a slog of a movie.
Okay. Jason, you got me thinking, and I'm just curious, did I ever show you some of the lost Back to the Future auditions?
Oh, no, for sure not. I've never seen any of
this. I'm just going to play a clip of it. You can find them online. This is so much fun, I think. All right, I guess, you can kind of pick who you want to see. This is, I got Billy Zane as Biff. I got Peter DeLuise as Biff. I got
Kira Sedgwick.
Yeah, Kira Sedgwick is great. I want to show. I think I want to show you.
And chemistry testing together. Interesting.
I'm gonna show you Ben Stiller as Marty McFly.
Great.
Here we go.
So, what are your parents like? Are they as square as mine?
Lorraine, lately I've come to the conclusion I don't know anything about my parents.
Why are you so nervous?
Well, have you ever been in a situation where, you have to act a certain way, but when you get there, You're not sure you can really go through with it?
Like when you're out on a first date with someone.
Well, sort of.
I mean, there it is. It's kind of great. So they have like
I love it.
so many great people auditioning. It's a really fun one to watch.
Oh yeah, and I love stuff like
Me too.
that. I loved the SNL special recently that was just an hour of people talking about their auditions.
Watching their auditions.
Oh, so uncomfortable.
So I was uncomfortable for them. It made me so upset. Okay. This is just another clarification of Mina Harkness from Devon in Brooklyn. Here we go.
Hey, Paul, it's your resident nerd, Dave Vaughn, calling out of Brooklyn, New York. I am listening to your League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen, and a question was asked of Mina Harkness of why she can walk in the daylight and turn into a bunch of bats. Is that the power of Dracula? So, no. She has the blood of Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler, who is a true vampire, can walk in the daylight and do all that crazy stuff. When he bites people and turns them, they turn into vampires or lesser vampires who can't walk in the daylight and have all those weird fetishes with the cross and the garlic, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it is a different lore, but basically Mina in the League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen has inherited Dracula's true blood. So she can walk in the daylight, she can walk in the daylight, but her powers are halved. Anyway, I love the show, love you guys, glad you guys are all safe from the fire. Please keep pumping out these podcasts because they bring me so much joy.
See? Great work.
Loved it.
Great work.
Loved it.
Everybody who's called in so far is from someplace I lived.
Is that? I mean, maybe we should just make that part of the call-ins. You have to be there.
But this I don't mind because yes, great. So Mina Harkness, who is a huge part in the books. I've also continued to go on and read the books. Yes, Vlad the Impaler, and my understanding is Vlad the Impaler and Dracula are different. Vlad the Impaler, a historical character, Dracula, a fictional character. So, thank you, Davon.
Well, I like a comment like that. It's really good, and I think we're gonna get another one like that from Micah in Illinois.
Hey guys, it's Micah from Illinois. Love your show. You guys have kept me alive. I've been driving an hour to work every morning. On the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen episode, you talked about the fact that Sean Connery turned down, the Matrix and at least one other job to do this one. I heard in an interview years ago that the reason he accepted the role of, Quartermain in this movie was because he had turned down the Matrix because he didn't understand the script. And then when he realized how big of a mistake that was, he promised himself he would jump on the next script that he didn't understand. And unfortunately for him, it was the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. All right. Well, anyway, guys, keep doing God's work. Thanks so much. And I'll hear you all in the morning. Bye.
Oh, now this is interesting because I have heard this story as well. And I think the way he's kind of put it together is actually quite interesting in the sense that he's like, yeah. I won't I'm clearly not hip enough to get it. And I could see, yeah, sure. This is what these idiots that America's going to like. I'm going to do this movie and just being so wrong about it in every way. I do love that.
Yeah. Oh, and I think, I also think that, if you're in that position where you've missed out on these kind of massive properties that go on to be massive hits, and you are given this, and not for nothing, maybe I'm certain this was a bad script, but at the very least it was coming with the kind of
the right lineage, right?
Yes. I mean, an Alan Moore comic series, these are the people behind the scenes are real people. It's not just like Sean Connery's taking a flyer. So I understand why he made this choice. But boy, he was led astray, and what a disappointment for him, I'm sure. And it puts him out of the business, basically.
And look, and now I'm going to go away from this for a second and say, yes, we got a bunch of other corrections in here. We got like that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde was never very big. He was very small. Then somebody else points out something like Tom Sawyer was published in 1872, which would make sense why he would be a grown-up in 1899. But the problem is the story was set in the 1840s. So at this point, Tom Sawyer would be about 60 or 70 years old. And now at this point, we're just like, all right, well, now we're just pulling at threads. Again, it's not even worthy of pulling out these threads because
I feel like people are trying to say like these are avenues you should have talked about.
Yes.
And I'm like, why?
Now, here's what I got. This is the one I've been saving for you because I think this is actually a really good one. This is from Sean McBee, a great corrections and omissions person who is writing to us about some information that he has not seen published anywhere. He got this information directly from the screenwriter, James Robinson. Okay. And all of this is from an interview that he did with James on an old podcast. Okay. So This is what he wrote. He said, when James.
I'm so sorry. What's the podcast? Should we?
I don't know. But we'll
got
see.
Got it.
Now, when James was hired to write this, only the first 6 issues of the comic had been released. It wasn't 0, as Paul claimed. Well, that was my research. And one of the initial conditions placed on his adaptation was that it had to include a younger member over the concern that the League was composed of members, endangering the appeal to the young demographic. This is why...
That's the Tom Sawyer character, who's not in the books.
Right.
Yeah.
And then James Robinson goes on to say the script was vastly different. Robinson is an incredibly accomplished comic book writer. He wrote the 90s Starman, the JSA Golden Age miniseries, and countless other things. And he tried very, very hard to be true to Alan Moore's original comics, but was impeded by several factors. As an example, the original script involved a Prussian villain who was planning on unleashing a flesh-eating gas on New York, where the film would primarily take place. But then 9/11 happened, and the studio said, we got to pivot away from that. We can't be in New York. We can't have an attack. And then a bunch of producers came forward and they're like, well, we got to change a lot of stuff. We got to reshape this entire thing. We got to get it to check all these boxes. And that's how the movie became what it is. And he goes, if anyone wants to hear this 18-minute long League of Extraordinary Gentlemen discussion, he posted it to YouTube just for the How Did This Get Made crowd. There's a lot more information there, and you can find it on a link that we'll have in our show notes, but you can also find it on the Discord. So that, I think, kudos to you.
Super interesting.
You came in, you gave us some info. I love that.
And James Robinson, a truly fantastic comics writer.
Yeah.
One of the legendary comics writers of that era, so I think super interesting. And that sounds like an interview I'd be more interested in listening to than I would be to watch the movie.
There's many things I'd like to be doing that are painful that I'd like to do more than watch a movie again. You know what? And honestly, without any further ado, that's the winner. That's the winner of this week.
I'll just shout out one James Robinson comic that I think is worth reading is his, it's because it's short and it's full gonzo insanity and it's called Airboy.
Ooh, okay.
It is a fantastic comic series from, I don't know, maybe 10 or so years ago, maybe longer now.
Well, Sean McBee, you are the winner. You don't get anything, but you get this amazing theme by Bombay Beach Revival. Hit it. All right. Now, if you want to chime in with your own thoughts, do it at your own peril. After this week, look, we really served you up. But we're going to get to some...
or just think of them to yourself and enjoy your own cleverness and don't feel like you need to send it
But
to
we
us.
do need something to fill up these episodes. We do need something.
We do?
Well, we could make it all just chat.
I'll just listen. We could talk about Shoresy. Shoresy's
so
back. We can talk about 1,000 Blows, the new Stephen Knight show. We can talk about Reacher season 3.
I want to talk about the Lauren book, the Lauren Michaels book.
The Lauren book?
So good. All right. Anyway, make sure you hit up
Disconnect the Discord.
Discord.gg/HDTGM or call us at 619-PAULASK. All right, we'll be right back. Jason, we are back, and I'm sure that you've noticed that every week we release old How Did This Get Made episodes back into the feed. They're matinee episodes, and we had some good ones. We just re-released the number 23, which is still one of my favorites that we've done. That's a Jim Carrey movie where he was obsessed with, remember?
Yes, it's like a thriller,
Top
right?
Secrets. Like yes, great.
Top Secrets.
And then this week is one that was kind of out of the box, but I love this one too. This is the Justice League, the Snyder Cut with we had Griffin and David.
Boys.
I love those guys, and they're doing an amazing series on Spielberg right now.
That's what I was just about to say. They're doing the early Spielberg movies right now: E.T., Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They have been incredible episodes.
I'm bummed that we're not in it, but I also feel like we don't deserve to be in those. We need to be on the outside. We got to be in the.
I'm so sorry. We absolutely deserve to be in there. They've got the fucking Doughboys on.
Oh, well then
Let's
now,
be clear.
all right.
If you've got Mitch and Tiger Weiger on the show, you can have the How Did This Get Made boys.
By the way, you and I are going to be appearing together, I believe, on the Doughboys for Munch Madness. I'm very excited about that.
But let's double down. We're definitely doing it together.
We are definitely going to be on it together. So don't let anyone dissuade you from that. Jason, well, you know what? The Discord has, caused a lot of...
the Discord of the Discord.
Well, you know what? Now they're coming with their hat in their hand, their big Dr. Hyde hat in their hand with some apologies. And here is an apologies theme.
I'm sorry. So sorry.
This is from Keithosaurus Rex. Personal correction. I am sorry for voting for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I had never seen it, and I had high hopes. A movie with so much exposition, left so much unsaid. The characters spent more time fighting with and rearranging furniture than the Property Brothers. Bam!
This is how we ended up with a second term of Donald Trump. I haven't seen it, but I voted for it. Get it together, Keithosaurus Rex. It's time to know what you're voting for.
Now,
don't vote from a place of ignorance.
Do the research. Now, Ghostbag writes, I admit I voted for this film to be covered, but when I watched it on Amazon Prime one day out of boredom, I sat there with my mouth agape, wondering how something like this could have ever been made. Apologies to Jason, but I need some sort of post-traumatic review of this film, and a podcast titled How Did This Get Made seemed like the best place to go to properly break this piece of shit movie down.
I don't want to be in the business of helping you out of a traumatic
We're
funk.
trying to keep the energy light here, people. We want to make this a fun journey.
This is not we're not trying to trauma bond with you as the audience. We're trying to have fun, assholes.
All right, well, let's get one final apology. And this one is, we can hear it. We don't have to have me read it. Here we go.
Sorry the Discord voted for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It wasn't my choice, and only serves to further erode my confidence in the democratic process.
I love the show. I feel so bad that you guys hated League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because it's one of my favorite bad movies. The CGI is terrible, and like Jason said, it's a really good book.
Yeah. It is a good book, and it's also a very bad movie. Both of those things are true. I'm not trying to take it away from you guys who voted for a bad movie. It is bad.
Well, they got it. And as a matter of fact, we're going to try to make it okay in a way with our next movie. So Jason, thank you for joining me for this.
Yeah.
This is awesome to have you here. Now I feel like we've laid down the law. People, you can come back next week and you can write your math equations and your ship sizes. I will not come at you as hard as Jason did.
Disconnect the Discord. That's our lock the gates.
Okay, next week we'll be going from joyless journeys to some double trouble. That's right. Next week we are watching Doppelganger, starring Drew Barrymore and George Newbern. Oh, wow. Always wanted to see them together. Here's a short breakdown of the plot. Our main character, Holly, flees from Los Angeles to New York after a fatal incident mysteriously involving her family. While starting an affair with the young writer she happens to be renting a room from, Holly finds herself being stalked by a homicidal maniac who happens to look just like her. Is it her evil twin? Hallucination? Malignity? Or, as the film is dubbed, Doppelganger. You'll have to watch to find out. This film has a 24% on Rotten Tomato, and a Letterboxd user, Sophie Cinema, calls it a bloody hellraiser of a B flick that cycles ludicrously from cable-era wet dream to Lovecraftian nightmare, from masturbation to defenestration. Holy cow. Now I want to see it even more. All right, listen to the trailer. Remember, this was the runner-up in the Discord pick.
Holly has found someone new.
Sorry I scared you.
Someone very secret.
It's very romantic.
Someone who hides from us all. Another self, a deeper, darker side. that is capable of the unimaginable. And now, the only thing she has to fear is herself.
You can stream Doppelganger for free on Tubi, Philo, and the Roku channel, Dailymotion, and more. Now, I encourage you to also check out Hoopla, Canopy, and Libby, which are digital media services offered by your local library that allow you to consume movies, TV, music, audiobooks, ebooks, and comics for free. All right, that's it, everybody. Remember, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us. Please also make sure that you are following us and have automatic downloads turned on. It helps the show, and we appreciate it. You can visit us all on social media at HDTGM. And a big thank you to our producers. That's right, Cody Fisher, Molly Reynolds, and our movie-picking producer, Avril Halley, who has been sidelined for 2 weeks due to you Discord users. Oh, man. Anyway, our associate producer is Jess Cisneros, and our engineer is Casey Holford. We'll see you next week for Doppelganger.